The historic comeback of Donald Trump as the President of United States exemplify that right-wing leaders are on the rise globally. Several right-wing leaders who are known for taking nationalist stance are gaining popular sentiments for tackling the menace of illegal immigration, wokeism, radical Marxism, and Islamic extremism head-on. While nationalist global leaders who were already in power like PM Modi, they have solidified their position. Hello and welcome to Think for India. I'm your host Pauresh Gupta. In this video, we will see the rise of right across the world. The popular sentiment behind Donald Trump-led Republicans can be caused from the fact that the party has won a clear majority in the presidency, Senate, and House. After President Grover Cleveland, Trump is only the second US president to make a comeback after losing an election. He has secured a non-consecutive second tenure. This achievement has been possible after a long gap of 132 years. Donald Trump's speeches and his ideas reflect a nationalist approach to the pressing issues in America and the world, which is dubbed in his campaign slogan MAGA, Make America Great Again. Trump's presidential victory confirms popular sentiment against the woke and illegal immigrants, a sentiment that became the prime reason for the rise of right-wing leaders and parties in Europe. Before America, a similar trend was seen in snap parliamentary elections held in France. The right-wing party National Rally (RN), led by Marine Le Pen, became the popular choice after Emmanuel Macron announced snap elections. However, after sweeping the first round of elections with over 33% of votes, the party finished third in the final round, as the two political players joined forces to stop the advent of Marine Le Pen's party. Despite standing in third position, RN proved to be a strong force, as vindicated by the massive wave of the political right. Macron's centrist ensemble and ultra-left New Popular Front joined hands to defeat Marine Le Pen, and they pulled 200 candidates out of the race to avoid a trilateral contest and RN's victory. However, at last, the stability of the French coalition government depends on the support of conservatives only. Earlier in June, RN had swept European Parliament elections in France with the highest 31.37% votes. Although Le Pen became comparatively soft on the party's stance from the time of her father, it continued to bid for trade protectionism and a stern policy on illegal immigration. RN's prime ministerial candidate Jordan Bardella made an electoral promise to ban dual nationals from state jobs. Giorgia Meloni's rise to power is associated with her fierce stance against illegal immigration, multi-gender, LGBTQ lobby, and other crucial issues. The state sponsorism of such issues, severely compromising the matters of national and economic interest, created resentment in the masses earlier. It left no choice but to elect a reasonable voice that comes with a conservative ideology. This echoed in Meloni's victory statement, and I quote, "Italians have sent a clear message in favor of a right-wing government led by Brothers of Italy," unquote. Notably, like other Western countries, the woke culture, illegal Islamic immigration, and protectionism were some of the decisive factors in Italy's political landscape, and Meloni's strong pro-nationalist approach succeeded in winning favor of the voters. She ferociously had said, and I quote, "Yes to the national family, no to the LGBTQ lobby, yes to sexual identity, no to gender ideology, no to Islamic violence, yes to secure borders, no to mass migration, no to big international finance, no to the bureaucrats of Brussels," unquote. Talking about another big power of Europe, Germany is also experiencing the rise of right-wing party. The Alternative for Germany, AfD, the young right movement, is getting the attention of the public, especially at a time when the country's economy is constrained, when it continues to be the second biggest supplier of weaponry to Ukraine after the USA. People have time and again resented to hefty drain of money and resources. Besides, the crumbling social fabric leading to the anti-immigration sentiment among the public is also one of the prominent reasons for the rise of the political right wing. Although the AfD is not in government, it rules local and municipal bodies. In September, the AfD secured unprecedented pluralities in regional elections in 3 eastern states, claiming 32% of the vote in Thuringia, 30% in Saxony, and 28% in Brandenburg, making its biggest performance so far. Although the current political landscape of coalition between non-right parties make it highly unlikely for AFD to gain power, but it is not impossible. Center-right Christian Democratic Union leader Friedrich Merz recently said that his party could enter into local agreements with the AFD before retracting his statement. His statement, the collapse of the Scholz government, earlier elections have increased the stances for AFD. Nonetheless, whatever the outcome may be, it is clear that people want to be led by anti-immigration and nationalist government. This strong feeling has become even more firm in recent times as Germany's Hamburg recently saw an Islamist takeover of the streets, demanding caliphate and Sharia imposition in the country. It must also be noted that AFD is a thorn in the eyes of left liberals because it is essentially against NATO and America, and it is pro-Russia. It wants American forces and NATO mission out of the country. The most inspirational victory for the right came from the Netherlands, where Geert Wilders, heading the Party for Freedom, went to elections with the sole agenda of strong sentiment and strong policy against Islam and anti-immigration. His call was widely accepted across the length and breadth of the country, with PPV emerging as the biggest party in November 2023 elections with over 26% percentage votes and 37 of the total 150 seats. After much negotiations, the right-wing coalition formed the Dutch government. Notably, the rise in Islamic extremism across Europe and the inability of the erstwhile ruling left and liberals to deal with it due to inhibition of being politically correct gave impetus to Geert Wilders. In line with the rise of political right, other countries including Hungary, Croatia, Czech Republic have the right-wing government. What must be understood with the rise of the political right wing is that the ideas of globalized bird, humanitarian welcome and other liberal ideas are values till the time they do not import the ill effects and its consequences. In Europe, the excessive drain of money and resources to Ukraine with no outcome for native Europeans whatsoever creates a national issue of its own. But instead of addressing it with reason, the long-ruling left liberal parties try to deflect the issue with the same value-based argument, causing even more resentment. Also in Europe, the left and liberals have long worked to keep the right away from governance. This collective effort is called firewall in Europe, famously called cordon sanitaire in French. This strategy has essentially painted the right in a bad light across Europe. But they forget that nationalism and native right ideology is not the only political right. Rather, rising Islamism, fanatism in Europe is the far right. This takes us to an understanding that within the ideological spectrum, political right can pragmatically be classified into two types. While one is more likely a native right, the other is an extremist right, the biggest example of which is Islamic fundamentalism across the world. Though largely unspoken of, this classification poses a clear option to native Europeans to either elect left liberals and wait for Islamic fundamentalism to take over or choose a native right government that can assure the safety of their national interests.